Hit the subscribe button if you don't want me to come at night.
Have you ever wondered what lurks in the shadows when you're home alone? Imagine sifting through hours of mundane home security footage, only to stumble upon something that chills your blood. An unassuming shadow, a figure just beyond the reach of clarity, appearing solely when you're in solitude. It's as if this entity, this phantom stalker, thrives on your isolation. The silence of your home is its stage, and you, the unwitting star. What would you do if you discovered a stalker in your security footage? It all began one cold winter evening. The day had been like any other, mundane and uneventful, but as dusk fell, a chill set in, one that was more than just the winter cold. It was a chill that crept up your spine, an eerie sense of foreboding that made the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. I had just settled in for the night, the warmth of my home a stark contrast to the icy darkness outside. On a whim, I decided to review the day's security footage, a routine I had followed countless times before, but this time, something was different. There, in the grainy footage, I noticed an anomaly, a shadowy figure that seemed to appear out of nowhere. It was a mere silhouette, a shapeless form that lurked in the shadows, but the sight of it sent a shiver down my spine. My home, my sanctuary, was being invaded by an unknown entity. I could feel a knot of fear forming in the pit of my stomach. The figure was there, but only when I was home alone, watching, lurking from the shadows, as if it had a mind of its own. It was a presence that was not supposed to be there, an intruder that had somehow slipped past the boundaries of my safe haven. The feeling of dread was overwhelming. It was as if I was being watched, stalked by an unseen predator. I tried to shake off the fear, to convince myself that it was just a trick of the light, a figment of my imagination. But the evidence was there, right in front of my eyes. I kept watching the footage, the minutes ticking by slowly, the ominous figure seemingly becoming more tangible with each passing second. It was like a specter from a horror story, a nightmare come to life. The phantom figure seemed to grow more real, its presence more palpable, as if it was feeding off my fear. And there it was, a figure lurking in the shadows of my home. The discovery shook me to my core. I was no longer alone in my own house. I was sharing it with an unseen entity, a stalker in the shadows. The horror of the situation was all too real, and it was only just beginning. The figure was always there watching, a shadowy specter, an uninvited guest, haunting my solitude. It was an eerie consistency that turned my stomach. The figure, a dark, nebulous form, seemed to appear only when I was alone. It was as if it knew, as if it could sense my isolation and chose those moments to reveal itself. It was never there when the house was alive with chatter, laughter, and the hustle-bustle of everyday life. But as soon as silence descended, as soon as the last echo of laughter faded into the walls, it would materialize. An omnipresent observer, lurking in the corners of my home security footage. The figure didn't do much. It didn't need to. Its presence alone was unsettling enough. But it was the way it seemed to watch me that sent a shiver crawling down my spine. It was as if it was studying me, learning my patterns, my habits. I could almost feel its gaze, cold and penetrating, even though I knew it was only a shadow on a screen. It would stay there for hours, unmoving, just observing. And then, like smoke being carried away by the wind, it would disappear, leaving no trace of its existence, save for the icy dread coiling around my heart. The more I watched the footage, the more certain I became. This was no random occurrence. This was not a trick of light. The figure was too consistent, too deliberate. It was always there, always watching, always waiting. And then the most chilling realization hit me. This was not just a figure on my home security footage. This was not just a shadow in the corner of my screen. This was a stalker, a watcher in the night, a phantom in the shadows, an entity that knew my solitude, knew my routines, knew my home. The realization hit me. I was being stalked in my own home. I decided to investigate, to uncover the truth. With these words, I plunged into the chilling mystery of the shadowy figure. It wasn't just about the fear anymore. It was about unmasking this entity, this silent intruder who seemed to have made my home its haunting ground. The first thing I did was review more footage. I spent countless hours, day after day, staring at the grainy images on the screen, scanning every inch for any sign of the figure. I began to see things in the shadows, shapes that weren't there, movements that were just figments of my spooked imagination. It was like I was living in a perpetual state of twilight, my eyes constantly straining to see what lay in the dark corners of the screen. Then, I decided to up the ante. I set up additional cameras all around the house, covering every possible angle: the living room, the kitchen, the hallway, even the bathroom. I wanted to leave no corner unwatched, no shadow untouched. I placed the cameras in such a way that they would capture the figure, regardless of its position or the time it chose to appear. It was a web of surveillance, a trap set for the unseen. Finally, I resolved to stay up late and catch the figure in the act. Night after night, I sat in the darkness, my eyes glued to the screens, my heart pounding in my chest. There was a strange thrill in it, a morbid fascination that kept me awake even as my body cried out for sleep. The silence of the night, punctuated only by the occasional creaking of the house, became my constant companion. It was a game of cat and mouse, a waiting game where I was both the hunter and the hunted. But the figure remained elusive, always just out of sight. It was as if it knew what I was doing, as if it was toying with me, staying just a step ahead. The more I pursued it, the more elusive it became. It was a ghost, a phantom, a shadow that lived in the corners of my eyes, always watching, always waiting. Then, one night, the figure stepped into the light. On this particular night, our person was alone, as usual. The eerie silence was only interrupted by the occasional creak of the house, a testament to its age. The figure, which had been a constant shadowy presence on the periphery, decided to break its pattern. There was a chilling moment when the figure emerged from the shadows, stepping into the pool of light from a single dim bulb. It was a sight that could freeze blood, an image that could haunt dreams. A formless entity, it had a dark, murky presence, as if made of the night itself. Its eyes, oh those eyes, were two glowing orbs, radiating an unnatural light that seemed to pierce through the darkness. The person, watching the footage, felt a cold shiver run down their spine. A knot formed in their stomach as they took in the horrifying sight. It was not just a figment of their imagination or a trick of the light. It was real. It was here, and it was watching. The realization was like a punch to the gut. The figure was not just some random stalker. It was something else, something far more sinister. It was a creature that lurked in the shadows, a creature that watched, that waited. The sheer terror of this revelation was enough to send them into a spiral of fear. Their heart pounded in their chest like a drum, the rhythm echoing their growing dread. It was a nightmare come to life, a horror story that was all too real. Every creak of the house, every flicker of the light, every shadow became a source of anxiety. The home, once a sanctuary, had become a place of fear. Yet amidst the fear, there was a sense of determination. They knew they had to face this entity, this creature of the night. They had to confront their fear, confront the stalker. It was a daunting task, but it was a challenge they were ready to face. In the harsh light, the figure's horrifying form was revealed. The revelation was a turning point, a moment of truth that marked the beginning of a terrifying journey. The truth was more terrifying than I could have ever imagined. In the inky blackness of the night, an ominous figure lurked, shrouded in the shadows of my own home. A spectral presence, it was visible only in the grainy footage of my security system. The figure was nebulous, its form constantly shifting, defying comprehension. It was as elusive as smoke, yet its presence was as palpable as a chill running down my spine. The figure's behavior was even more chilling. It was not a passive observer, content with simply watching. No, it had a predatory nature, stalking me whenever I was alone. It was as if it was feeding off my fear, growing bolder with every gasp of terror, every shiver of dread. I am haunted by the lingering mystery of the stalker's identity. Was it once a living person, now trapped in an eternal limbo? Or was it something more sinister, an entity born from the darkest corners of fear and paranoia? The questions remain unanswered, leaving me in a constant state of unease. Fear is a relentless companion in my life now. It taints every moment of solitude, turning my sanctuary into a hunting ground. It's a chilling reminder of the horrifying truth that I have come to accept. I am never truly alone. The figure in the shadows is always watching, always waiting. And so, I live with the horrifying knowledge that I am never truly alone in my own home.
Hit the subscribe button if you don't want me to come at night.